guys, I'm so tired. I've been volunteering with the band kids for the past couple of days, and it was not a good choice. Emergency school bags. Do you even need it? The answer, yes. Yes, you do. Today, I'm going to be telling you during this video what to use as an emergency bag, what to put in your emergency bag, and at least right now, why you should even have an emergency bag in your school backpack. Emergency kits are really important during school, even though it's something that very few people even have and even less people talk about. It's important to have an emergency bag during your school day because school happens for such a long period of time. Who knows what happens? If you've ever been in high school, you know that things happen, things go off the rails, you have random occurrences, you have spike-ups of allergies, or maybe period cramps, or headaches, or just in general, things happen. And it's always better to be prepared than not. And that's why emergency bags should be in every girl's school bag, because this can save you. This can save you. This can save your friends. Whatever is in here, it can save someone. And, you know, that's kind of important. So just a small little thing about my experience having an emergency bag and apparently being the only person around that has an emergency bag. Whenever people have any issue, if they need a hair tie, if they specifically need period stuff, anything, they go to me. So, it's always good to have an emergency bag. It's always fun being that one girl that is prepared for anything. So what is the best bag for an emergency kit? The best option for an emergency bag is an old makeup bag. The reason being, they're smaller, made for travel, but they do fit quite a bit of stuff because, well, it's made to hold your makeup. So old makeup bags are great options for emergency kits. They usually look really, really pretty. Like this one has a cute little flower. They look really cute. They hold all the stuff and they're really durable. Another option is if you've ever had a subscription or know someone with a subscription to Ipsy, you can use their little bags. They are typically smaller than a traditional makeup bag, but that can be a good and bad thing. If you have a smaller bag or you already carry a lot of stuff, it might be nice to limit yourself to just the basics of very light emergency items. Of course, if you don't have an old makeup bag and nor do you have an Ipsy bag lying around, you can just go out and get a bag or even a clutch. Target has really good options, Walmart has really good options, Forever 21 most likely has some makeup bag options too. So if you don't have any previous bags, getting a new one is totally fine. The last option is for all of you girls out there that know how to sew. You can make your own bag. It's actually quite simple. The only complicated part is learning how to sew on a zipper, but once you get used to it, sewing on a zipper is actually not that difficult. So this is a bag that I personally use for my emergency bag. The reason why making your own bag can be really nice is because you get to choose the size of it. If you have bigger things to accommodate for, you can make a bigger bag. If you have small things to accommodate for, you can use a smaller bag, and it will look the exact way that you want it to look. So being able to customize it can be really, really nice. I'm now going to move on to items that you should put in your emergency bag. I'm going to start out with what I think is the most important item to have in your bag, and then along with that train of thought, medical, health-related items. You already knew this was coming. It is so important to have backup tampons and backup pads in your emergency bag. I even recommend, if you have the room, to have a backup pair of panties just in case you bleed through. Any girl knows what I'm talking about when I say you always want more than less. If you're going through your pads just a little bit faster than you expected because your flow is heavier, it's good to have some backup pads just in case you start running really low. I really do recommend having both tampons and pads in your bag. I know most girls just use one or the other and they just keep one or the other, but it's really nice to have both. Some schools have swimming units, and if your period decides to come a little bit earlier or a little bit later, you can't use a pad in the water. You have to use a tampon. This can be really good for any emergency situation. Along with, if you have to offer out some supplies to a friend, not everyone can wear tampons. I know a lot of friends that don't really know how to put in a tampon. I also know a lot of friends that don't like pads. They are very uncomfortable for them. But it is good to have both. Next up are medicine. Specifically, you should have some kind of pain meds like Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin, any type of those pain relief medicines. You don't need to have the full big bottle in your bag. It's good just to have the small one like I do. If you have some old prescription medication bottles lying around, you can fill it up with some medicine and that will work great. But it's good to have medicine just in case. Even if you're a person that doesn't get a lot of cramps or headaches, there can be a person around you that does. Or maybe it just strikes and it's an unbearable pain. I know some schools, if you go down to the nurse, you can go and get some medicine. However, that can be a little bit more of an inconvenience than necessary. For a lot of the schools that I have been around and heard from, you need to get a call to your parents and then they need to check your papers and make sure that you're allowed to get medicine, which can take a lot more time than you want, and you're just there in pain, and it's just not a great situation. So it's honestly better to have your own, just to take maybe 1 or 2. You don't need to tell anyone. You just take it and you can move on with your day and just get out of school as fast as possible and as painless as possible. If you have allergies or any kind of other medication that you take often, I recommend putting a little bit in your emergency bag too. So just as an example, I used to suffer from some really bad dry, scaly skin. And they would come and go, but sometimes they would come and there was nothing I could do about it because they were just really, really bad. I had this medication in my emergency bag for I think 2 to 3 years because those scaly patches would come back and I just didn't know what to do. So it was good to have this because I could immediately just put some on in the bathroom and they would be gone by the end of the day. So if you have allergies, it's a really good idea to have allergy medicine in your bag. I keep some allergy medicine in my bag because I have some pretty common allergens, but it's really good to have any medicine that you use often or have a lot of factors or triggers, like anything that's fairly common. It's good to have medication. Yes, you could go home and you would probably be okay, but isn't it just nice to get it taken care of so you can move on? Another medication, this is a little bit more of a situational medicine, is some burn relief if you're in a welding class. This is really, really important because sometimes you just get the slightest burn on your hand and it's not serious enough that they're gonna take you down to the nurse and wrap your arm. Sometimes you just gotta take care of it yourself. And just having a little container of Neosporin or any burn relief is really nice, especially when you're in a welding class or any class with hot metals, or even if you live in just a really hot climate that anything gets really, really hot really fast. This is good just in case an accident happens. I'm sure we all understand the importance of hand sanitizer after this past year. Hand sanitizer and even lotion is a really good option to have in your emergency bag, just in case you come across something that's a little bit dirty and you don't necessarily have the time to run to the bathroom and wash your hands. It's always good to have hand sanitizer. So I really do recommend having just a little bottle. So get a little container of it, keep it in your bag. You'll thank yourself. Lotion is also a really good option. It's not as necessary, but it can be really nice just to keep your hands soft and moisturized. Moving on to the more medical health stuff. Band-Aids, pretty self-explanatory. If you need it, if anyone else needs it, Band-Aids, always a great option. If you have them, alcohol wipes, disposable wipes like that, also really great for cleaning out wounds if anyone gets a scab. If you have them, I recommend putting it in. If you don't, they're not super necessary, but they're nice, but they aren't super necessary. Moving along, cotton swabs and cotton balls. This seems a little bit random, but it actually is quite nice to have at least cotton swabs in your emergency bag, especially if you're the type of person that wears a bit of makeup. It's really nice because Sometimes you can get some makeup smearing underneath your eyes, and you can just take a little cotton swab and swipe it underneath and just get rid of all of that. I oftentimes use the cotton balls in my emergency bag whenever someone is bleeding really hard. So it's good to have a cotton ball. You can take just some of the cotton out, press it onto wherever that bleeding wound is. Pressure will help bleeding subside, and then place a Band-Aid over. That can be really good, especially if they're bleeding just a lot. So this is really good for more of like a medical situation, especially because try your best not to touch someone's blood. That's not a very sanitary thing. The next item I have for you guys to put in your emergency bag are some Kleenexes or tissues. Pretty self-explanatory. It's good to have them just in case your nose is running and you don't want to go up to the front of the classroom and get tissues. Or if you are just happen to be in the bathroom crying, this is also really nice. So it's really nice to have some tissues, Kleenexes in your bag. I'm sure that you have at least asked 8,000 different people for a hair tie, and majority of those people say, no, I'm sorry, I don't have a hair tie. You can avoid that situation by packing your own hair ties in an emergency bag. This is really good as a just in case. If you are in a science class, oftentimes when you do labs, you have to have your hair up, and if you don't have a hair tie, you can't participate, or they'll hand you like literal rubber bands, and that hurts taking out. So you can at least go, oh, hey, I have some in my bag, put your hair up, do your lab, get an A, move on. Along with the same subject of ponytails, it's good to have some bobby pins. I keep my bobby pins on an actual hair tie so that they don't get lost, but it's nice whenever you need to pull back your hair, pull back someone else's hair, any situation. It's just really nice to have a couple bobby pins. Now, I'm going to move on to things that are really nice to have in your makeup bag.
I'm not sure why I said makeup bag. This is an emergency bag.
But I wouldn't call them an essential of the makeup bags because they are fairly situational. The first situational item that I have for your emergency bag is a little nail file. This is great, especially if you have fake nails or you have nails that tend to snap or snag a lot, or you just don't like having long nails. Whatever the situation, it's good to have a tiny little nail file so you can just fix up. This can really save you from snagging a bunch of things or your nails snapping constantly. If you have a little bit of a break, you can smooth that out. Almost identical, you can have a little bit of makeup. I recommend having mascara and lip gloss and concealer. Just tiny tubes. You can get the little travel sized. I just have this little travel size mascara and this tiny little lip gloss. These are really good just in case your makeup starts wearing or you're in a situation where you need to be super professional and you need to look a little bit nicer than you usually do. You can just swipe on a little bit of mascara, a little bit of lip gloss. I would say these plus concealer should be all you really need to keep in your bag. I've had a situation where someone had a festival to perform at and they totally forgot about it and they just didn't look great. So I just handed them my makeup. They could swipe on a little and they looked perfectly fine afterwards. And they looked perfectly fine and they did great for their performance and they got 100% on professionalism. Another thing you could keep is a little hairbrush. I know most hairbrushes don't look like this. The travel ones are the little mirrors that you can pop open. You can put in a little hairbrush. It's pretty nice just in case your hair is a little bit tangled. Not necessary, but very nice. The next things are more so if you wear prescription glasses or contacts. I recommend having backup contacts if you wear contacts because sometimes they dry out, they fall out, and then you're blind. I've had that happen to me. It was not a fun situation. Have backups. Along with contacts, have these little eye drops. You can buy them at the store. I believe I bought a pack at Target a long time ago and I just kept a couple in my bag. And this was great when my eyes started drying out. It's also great to use and flesh out whatever is making your eyes sensitive or hurting. And if you have glasses, a little bit of a glasses cloth just in case your shirt is not the right material. Here's some other items that you could put in your emergency bag. They're not items that I personally keep, but you can totally keep them in your bag too. You can keep like 20 bucks just in case you have to go and buy something or you have to pay someone back or any situation. Having like $10, $20 in your emergency bag can be really good. Don't tell anyone. It's just in case of emergencies. If you have multiple chargers in your house, you can put a charger in your emergency bag just in case your phone dies or someone's phone dies. It's good to have it if you do, but don't worry too much if you don't have a charger. It's not an essential item. You can also put a pair of sunglasses in your emergency bag if you feel that is super necessary, especially if you live in a really sunny place. It can be nice if you forget it, but again, it's not something that is super necessary. Mini bottles of hairspray, mini bottles of dry shampoo, anything that you feel will help you in a situation, I really do recommend putting it in. You're gonna know what you need in an emergency. So whatever small thing that you decide that, hey, I use this a lot, but sometimes I'm in a situation where I need it and I don't have it, put that in your bag. So that's it for today's video. I really hope this has encouraged you to put together your own emergency bag. I really do think it's important for every high school girl to have her own emergency bag. Saves her friends, and all of the above, everything in total. Make sure you have an emergency kit, and I really hope this helps you try and put yours together and try and decide what's necessary and what might not be necessary for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!